Okay, so Neo, what's been happening with Neo? So last time I did a video on Neo, we were on a nice kind of uptrend. I'll zoom into the 4-hour chart. I'll just draw out the previous uptrend line we were on, and we were just kind of running nicely up this trend here, and then we had a bearish break here, and then of course after the bearish break we bounced back up and bounced off the bottom of this trend before we head back down. Okay, and we've had a nice sell-off here. I mean, it's been a little bit of a panic sell here. A lot of, a few stop losses must have been triggered off on the way down, and we've probably had a lot of profit takers, people that have been holding positions from down here, hoping for the bigger run. Maybe some people have been taking profits here also, but in general it's been a healthy sell-off. We don't want to see this drop much further, because at the moment, I mean, the feeling is bearish. A lot of people are looking at this and thinking, oh, it's kind of bearish. Neo's starting to look bearish and so on and so forth. But I would kind of hold off that, because if we look at the 1-day chart here, I mean, we started off from here, and we had a break and we had a high. We had a higher high. Obviously this was the previous high. We had a higher high, and then a higher low, and a higher high, and we haven't actually let's look at the 12-hour chart just to make it clearer. So yeah, we had a higher low from here, and then a higher high here, and then a higher low, and then a higher high, and then a higher low here, and then a higher high. And now basically what's happening is, I mean, if we look at the 1-day chart here, we don't really want to be, I mean, at the moment we're forming a higher low. So although that trend that we're on had broken, but we could at the moment be forming an uptrend, but on a less of an incline, right? So that's something to remember. As long as we don't close below this line here, as long as we don't close below this line here, and I may as well just leave this line here, then basically we haven't created a lower low. So that's something to keep in mind, guys. And so if we zoom in, let's take a look at what's been happening. I mean, on the 12-hour chart we can see that we created doji here, and then it's a bearish candle here, and then like a bullish spinning top here, and now we're creating like a bearish candle here. But I mean, here's the thing, guys. I mean, I was looking at this yesterday, and I thought it would have come all the way down, and I would have been catching the 6-hour cloud support here, right? Because I was looking at the 6-hour candle, and I was expecting it to come all the way down and then bounce off this cloud here. But what's actually happened, guys, on the 4-hour, we can see it actually bounced off the 4-hour cloud here. Okay, see, if it found cloud support here, it literally just bounced off this cloud right here. All right, so that's a positive sign. This is a positive sign that it's bouncing off here. But what we really want to happen is like a nice bounce, right? We want to catch, ideally this is what we want it to happen. Bounce up and then come back down to test this zone here, test this zone right here, and then bounce off again. Okay, that's what we want it to happen on the bullish side of things. But we we're not quite there yet. The bullish sentiment at the moment isn't strong enough yet. We had a nice bullish run over the last week and a half, but right now, sorry guys, I'll just exit out of my I was in the Neo group there as well. Right now, there's not enough volume at the moment. But here's the thing, guys. If we look at the volume as a whole, I mean, where we are right now is down here. If you see the volume down here, okay, the volume barely kicked off. I mean, we're right here. If you look at this line at the bottom, there's barely any volume. Barely any volume, right? And we've had a slight peak in volume, a little jump in volume here, and hence we had this big run here. But look at the volume that came in before in the previous months. Okay, this volume has gone somewhere, and this volume is waiting to come back in, right? Once we start to have bullish signs and this volume starts coming back in, and trust me when I say with Neo, the volume can easily just start pouring into Neo. Okay, so that's the thing. Like with such little volume that came in, and we still managed to get basically halfway up this big past pump, right? Probably more than halfway up, right? So what is that telling you? Once we surpass this and the volume comes in, it's gonna be like pouring petrol on a fire, right? It's just gonna go crazy. So that's cool. So that's what we can look forward to. But in the meantime, in the short term, what are we looking at? In the short term, let's look at the 1 hour chart. Okay, and narrow it down a bit so we can see what's going on. And actually, let's look at the 30-minute chart. Okay, because I want to look at which candles is doing what. And so we're basically on this we're on this trend at the moment, okay, downtrend, okay, because if we look at the my line chart here, okay, we haven't broken trend, and I can in fact take that all the way down. All right, so we're still in this kind of short-term downtrend, yeah, which is cool because we can't be continuously going up. But if we check the oscillators in terms of strength and momentum, we can see, okay, we're healthy on the RSI. Okay, we're pointing down on the half an hour. On the hour, we're pointing down. Okay. But the good thing is about the hourly chart is we had a bit of divergence here. You can see, we had a small trend up there, and it was a trend down there. So this divergence right here caused the pump. You see this pump here? It caused that pump. So that's a positive sign. The fact that that happened there, and it's, I guess you could say, it's a sign of things to come once these oscillators reset. So the 2 hour has pumped and it needs to come back down. Okay, so I'm expecting this to come back down. Okay, especially bearing in mind, I mean, we're still on this trend, right? So it can come back down and reset. The 4 hour is pointing up. Okay, 6 hour is starting to turn up, okay, which is good. So the longer time frames are actually starting to point up. The 12 hour is still coming down, but it's almost come down, and it can start to turn around here. So basically what I'm saying is, in another 12 hours time or so, once the 1 hour and 2 hours have come down, let's say in about 12 hours time, then then basically these will be reset. Okay, and then hopefully we can have more of these indicators starting to point up, the 1 day is pointing down, but it can just turn around halfway, right? Any of these indicators doesn't mean that they have to come all the way back down. You know, this is really just like a momentum oscillator, right? So you know, the main thing is, in terms of price being overbought and oversold, is this here, this RSI here, right? So cool. So I mean, it's just a matter of being patient, guys. In all honesty, you know, I wouldn't, you know, if you're looking to trade Neo, then like on a day-to-day basis, then you'd be buying here, selling here. I mean, let me show you something to make it more sense. Say for an example, okay, like the traders, right? Like, okay, they probably would have you know, bought here in this consolidation zone and sold up here, right? Up here, and then they probably would have said, okay, I'm buying at the 61.8 fib level or just above. So they would have said, okay, well then I'm gonna purchase my some more Neo here, right? Okay, right there in this zone here, right? Because I'm expecting it to come to this zone here. Or some traders would say, okay, I'm gonna buy some here and some here, just to kind of be on the safe side, right? Because it, you know, it only just spiked down here for a few hours and then went back up, right? So some traders will be, okay, playing it safe, right? So you could say that, right? You can, on a day trading basis, you could look at it that way, okay? And from there, I mean, you know, from there to the top, we're looking at like 35%, you know, quite, you know, a decent amount, right? At least 30% you would have made on that run up, right? Because you're looking at the oscillators and looking at the strength indicators and so on. You would have you know, known where to sell, basically, right? If you look at the divergence and stuff like that, you'd know, okay, it's time to sell, right? Cool. So also another thing is, if you sell there, then you can think, okay, where do I want to repurchase Neo? So then you could think, okay, well, I'm gonna buy again. You can say, okay, I'm gonna buy some at the 618 level. I can buy some at the 786 level. Okay, these are all areas of interest. Okay, areas of interest. Yeah. You don't have to buy down here. Obviously, you can see from the wick here, only very few number of people actually bought at this 786, which is surprising, because, you know, a lot of people usually, you know, in crypto, the price often comes down to the 786. So anyway, it just only a wick of people bought here. A lot more people bought here. And yeah, I mean, you can see there was a lot of people bought at the 50% range, because you can see there's some support there at the 50% range. I mean, if we, I guess, you know, there's different, you don't have to draw the fib right from the top of the wick to the bottom of the wick. You know, a lot of people will draw it from, for example, the closing price to the opening price. So there you go. So if you don't even count the wicks at all, then we're still coming to the 786. Have you noticed that? Look, the 786 is still where it's at, and you know, the ratios remain the same. Look, the 618 is still here, and the support zone is, look, it's bang on at the support zone is bang on the 50%. This is the 50% range here, right? So anyway, so that's basically on a day trading level. We could be looking at it like that, right? Okay, so there's areas to buy, and then what we're hoping for to happen now is, just as here, as all the people that bought here, they were waiting for this to break here, like so, in the same way, we're kind of just waiting for this to break in the same way. Maybe possibly the price could come down here and then bounce back up here and then break. It can and it cannot. Like, there's no guarantee, right? But basically, you know, you just got to look at all the different indicators, how much strength there is. Is the selling volume completely drying out? I mean, if we look at the just the selling volume here, I mean, let's look at the last few days. Okay, so there's still a bit, I mean, there's a lot of selling volume here, right? So once this just starts to decline out and we get like a reduction in selling volume here, yeah, and it comes down to like here, like it just becomes really low. So, you know, once we're the volume's just like, we have like 3 or 4, you know, 4-hour candles down here, then we can say, okay, the pressure's starting to build, you know, and you know, a little pump will help us break this this downtrend that we're in. Okay, so that's what we're looking at here with NEO. Now, good thing is, like I mentioned before, the good thing is that it's held this 4-hour cloud support. Okay, and you know, even if it comes back down, I'm hoping that, you know, it holds this 4-hour cloud support. Okay, because I'm a long-term holder in NEO, right? So and another thing is, guys, I think today was the first NEO ICO as well. So there's stuff happening with NEO, you know, in Bittrex. Let's have a look. The volume saying on Bittrex, it's still number 1 in terms of volume. I mean, it's just above Ripple, which is pretty incredible considering Ripple has had such a good 2 days, and it's still above Ripple in terms of actual volume. On the Ethereum chart, it's still number 1 in volume, and on the USD chart, it's just below Bitcoin as usual. So the volume is still there, even though it's not having a good few days. The volume is still basically number 1 on Bittrex, which is a positive sign, guys, because we're basically in a negative time right now. And if the price starts to start reacting positively, and that's just going to make the volume come in, guys. I can't emphasize the point of volume strongly enough, right? So basically, we just need to exercise patience, guys, and in the short term, I guess just keep an eye on those key support and resistance zones. So I'll say one key support and resistance zone will be right here. Yeah, right here. Personally, I think that is a key support and resistance zone. I tend to look at the higher time frames when it comes to finding the support and resistance zones, guys, because it's just more, obviously the higher time frames you look at, the more significant, the stronger the support and resistance lines are going to be, right? So it just makes sense. So that's one zone here, but really and truly, I mean, this bottom right here, you see where these candles have all closed down here, that's one zone here as well. So I'm really basically hoping that, you know, the price does not fall below this line here, which is 67, the 67.6 zone, right? I'm pretty confident that it won't. But like I said, we need these oscillators to come down more. Look, the 1 day still needs to come down. You know, it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't need to come down all the way. I'm not saying it will, I'm not saying it won't, right? But I'm just saying the 1 day is pointing down. The 3 day is kind of leveling out a bit. The 6 hours starting to point up, it's a positive. The 4 hours pointing up, it's a positive. Okay, the 2 hours pointing down. But the thing is with the 2 hour is, once the 1 hour comes down and resets, and the 30-minute is starting to reset, like maybe the next couple of hours or so, it's going to start to point up. That will in turn affect the way the the 1 hour and the 2 hour candle RSI turns out basically. Okay, so once the 30 minutes starts pointing up, it's going to start to turn the 1 hour. Like, so the 1 hour can start turning around here, and so on and so forth. So basically, you know, once, you know, the early signs will be, you can check the 15-minute stochastic RSI. Once that starts turning up, then it's going to affect the 15-minute, and that's going to affect the 1 hour, and so on and so forth. And then we already saw the 6 hour and 4 hour are already turned up, and that's how the momentum starts to shift. Okay, now just noticed on this on the 15-minute candles there, we've got like a double top situation here, which is obviously bearish, and it's obviously reacting in a bearish sense. So like I said, guys, we just need to at the moment exercise patience, and once this zone here, I'll just draw it again here. As you've noticed, I like drawing my lines with the line chart. Once this zone here has cleared, which could be in the next 24 hours or so, we just need a bullish break of this downward resistance. Okay, then we can start looking at targets and so on and so forth. Ideally, we want a nice run up to this line, and ideally, you know, get enough momentum to get above this line. So we want to try and make this support, this resistance line become support in the near future. But that's a way to go, and we just need to kind of exercise patience at the moment. If you're trading NEO on a database basis, then keep tight stop losses. Obviously, now's not the time to be buying NEO to trade, like day trade, unless you're shorting NEO somewhere. But if you're buying it to hold on its way up, now's not the time to be doing that. If you're looking to buy NEO, then I would at least wait till this downward resistance is broken and we start to hold, like, you know, if we come down here and break this line here, and then we hold this, bear with me 1 second. Yeah. All right, so if we hold this support zone here, break out and then bounce off here and then start to move up, that's when I would be looking to buy, if you know, you're not already in it. So let's just take a quick brief look at the US dollar chart, because I haven't looked at that for a while. Let's get rid of this, see what's going on the 12 hour. All right, so the US dollar chart is not looking as bad as the Bitcoin chart. Let's check out the downward resistance on the US dollar. Sorry guys, I know I keep messing around with the candles, but I'm a very fiddly person on the charts, always changing things. All right, so okay, so we're basically in the similar kind of, obviously in a similar situation. It's the same coin, but we just need to, you know, break out of this downward resistance, and I don't know when that's going to be. I guess we got to kind of look at the main support zone here. So at the moment, this is the bottom. Okay, this zone right here is the bottom. Okay, and I want to see if this on the US dollar chart, is there a 4 hour cloud support? Yeah. Okay, so it's, you know, we've more than held the 4 hour cloud support. Let me check out the 2 hour. No, okay, we've more than held the 4 hour cloud support here on both charts, on the dollar chart and the BTC chart. So basically, in order to kind of look at time frames, we can basically say by what day is it? It's tomorrow's the 6th. Okay, so basically by about midday tomorrow in my time GMT, we should have an answer what's going to be happening with NEO. Are we going to break below you know, in which case we'd have to look at the next kind of support zone. This zone right here on the dollar is key. Okay, or are we going to break above? So that's something to look out for, guys. Anyway, I hope that helps. These videos end up becoming a bit long-winded because I start looking at various different things, but yeah, that's NEO for now. Me personally, I'm gonna give it at least 24 hours, see what's happening. Hopefully the oscillator is going to reset, build up some more strength, get some more bullish volume in, and then we'll see what happens. But the first thing we need to look for is a break of this downward resistance. Okay, so we'll touch base next time and we'll see how it goes. Until then, all the best, and don't forget to like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on the next one.